two different elements here to making peace. There's the military aspect, and then there's the political and diplomatic aspect. So Davis, regarding what's going on militarily, what do you think it's going to take to finally make peace between Russia and Ukraine?
This has become an increasingly difficult question as this war rages on, as the toll on life and infrastructure continues to remain high. We continue to have concerns. What is it going to take to bring both sides to the table in a meaningful way? But what you're seeing is a strategic element. You're seeing the Trump administration waging what feels like a high stakes game of poker, in that they're using now these Tomahawk cruise missiles. These can be used as offensive weapons. They can essentially be used to target Moscow from inside Ukraine. So the idea that there's even discussion of the United States providing these weapon systems to the Ukraine is a significant attempt to bring Russia to the table and make reasonable concessions so this can move forward. And again, that's been a moving target throughout this process. There's been a lot of complicating factors outside of President Trump or America's control, but this is a significant warning. Trump holds the cards in this game, but this is a significant warning to Russia if they don't come to the table in good faith.
Absolutely. So to follow up then, what do you think is the logic behind even considering sending more weapons to Kyiv? Do you think, as you just said, it's really about trying to bring Russia back to the negotiating table? Or do you think there are some people in Washington who really think that there's a chance of Ukraine defeating Russia on the battlefield militarily?
I believe this is about putting Russia in a position where they have to come back to the bargaining table and negotiate in good faith.
Understood. Now, Jeff, for the political aspect of this equation, I have a couple of questions for you. Number one, what do you make of Vladimir Putin in terms of his moves, his rhetoric, his behavior, and what do you think his end goal here is in Ukraine?
Well, I would say this is Putin. Putin is really brutal. He's a dictator. He has to be. Russia is an extremely large country to be able to govern. But the thing I think that people are missing is that Trump has worked out that he plays people. Trump is not a diplomat. He isn't interested in sociology. He is not interested in ideology or history or even what's going on the battlefield. He plays people. He's a deal maker. He uses leverage, he uses threats, and he uses a lot of public gestures. And in many ways, Putin is exactly the same. Putin knows what he can and he can't do, and he's a realist. And I think that what we're going to see over the next few months, to keep a lookout for it, is what is less about what's happening on the battlefield and more what's about happening in the personal relationship between Putin, Trump, and Zelensky. And I think Trump will gain from what happened in Gaza because he's now confident that those personal relationships can make things work when other factors aren't making them work.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot that can be learned from what we're seeing in Gaza, and I really do hope and pray that ceasefire holds. It's very new still, and there's been some challenges to it, certainly. However, I want to follow up with you, Jeff, for a moment. President Trump seems to have a very interesting relationship with Vladimir Zelensky, who has been to the White House. I believe this will be time number 3 this year. What are your thoughts about Zelensky, and what do you expect to see from that meeting tomorrow?
Well, Zelensky is almost the reverse of Putin. Putin is a serious, brutal dictator who has a sense of humor, which I think Trump will lean on. I think we saw that in Anchorage. Putin was much more likely to work with Trump when the two of them were together. Zelensky is the reverse. Zelensky is a former professional comedian who has actually proven to be much tougher and much more serious than people give him credit for, notwithstanding his sartorial taste. However, and I'd be interested to hear what Davis has to say about this. I think Davis is right in one regard. I think the Tomahawks are a threat. I think we are very, very unlikely ever to see Tomahawk missiles on land in Ukraine. I think it's a threat. The one thing about transactional deal making is you cannot let someone walk away with nothing. The template for this deal was done in Anchorage. Trump then left them alone to carry on, which was silly because the children, when left alone, started goofing off. So now he's going to come back and put them back in the room and say, no, Putin, you're not going to get more money, more land than we were talking about. Zelensky, you're not going to get more security guarantees.